Hi, Beata Bukowski coming to you with yet another weekly economic update. In the news, other than all these banks getting in trouble, now the next one to add to the pool is First Republic Bank, but 11 major banks in the U.S. have stepped up to input an influx of liquidity, as First Republic is the fourth largest non-agency jumbo lender in the U.S. So a lot of eyes are on what will be next. But other than that, many eyes, including the Fed's eyes, are on the inflation. Inflationary numbers were reported last week both on the consumer and on the wholesale level. Consumer price index rose 0.4% in February, but the annual reading declined from 6.4 to 6%. The core CPI, which excludes the most volatile price of food and energy, actually increased 0.5%, and the year over year dropped from 5.6 to 5.5%. Bottom line, there is a lagging factor in everything that's being reported. Housing or shelter is responsible for 60% of the increase, and housing is being reported on a lagging scale. What does this mean? It means simply that if somebody that rented out a property a year ago, their pricing is being taken into consideration, not what currently landlords are able to ask and rent their properties for. So with this lagging, these inflationary numbers are not a true reflection of what is today, but rather what was within the last 12 months, because CPI is calculated based on a rolling 12-month average. According to Apartment List's latest rent report, it showed that year-over-year growth has actually de-accelerated by 3% on rents, but you wouldn't know this if you were looking at those numbers reported in CPI. On a good note, however we look at it, 9.1 dropped by a third to 6% is still a very good number. On the wholesale, inflation is also cooler. Inflation decreased by 0.1% in February, dropping the annual from 5.7 to a whopping 4.6%. And while excluding food and energy, there was a gain of 0.4%, that's still a drop from 5.4 to 4.4 on annual basis. Bottom line, it is going in the right direction. We just ought to be patient. And on that patience, do you think the Fed is going to have their hand on the true pulse of what's going on? There's still a lot of anticipation that the Fed this week is increasing the Fed fund rate by yet another 0.25%. And in my humble opinion, they ought to pause and wait for these numbers to kind of digest through. Will all the banking system trouble that we've seen on the horizon lately be really affecting, and how will it be affecting our housing market? Housing starts, which measure the starting of construction on new properties, rose 9.8% in January, whereas building permits also rose 13.8%. All this is really needed news, because this is telling us that there's going to be more inventory being provided to the markets. How soon, we don't know, but soon, hopefully. Builder confidence rose also last month, although it is not over the 50% mark, which tends to be expected or showing as an expanding if it's above, decreasing when it's under. So it's at 44 points, but still better than what it was back in December, where it was in the 30s. Unemployment, initial jobless claims are down 20% to a total of 192,000 new files created. Unemployment, so all people unemployed right now, represent 1.684 million right now, and continuing claims are below its highest for the 14th month now in a row. That's all I had for you today. Please stay tuned to next week's info.